I never thought my patience would be tested in the way it was, not by a stranger, not by a coworker, but by someone I considered my own, my stepson. His actions left me baffled, questioning everything I thought I had built in our family. But what happened after that moment of truth shocked us both, and forever changed our relationship. My name is Diane, a 42-year-old nurse living in suburban Michigan. I met my husband Eric 8 years ago. He came with a 6-year-old boy named Tyler, a wide-eyed, quiet kid who had lost his mother at birth. When I married Eric, I knew Tyler was part of the package. But I didn't mind. I always wanted a family, and I was ready to love Tyler like my own. At first, everything went smoothly. Tyler and I had a calm relationship. He wasn't overly affectionate, but he wasn't distant either. He would leave handmade cards on my dresser for Mother's Day and quietly help clear the dishes after dinner. There was always a distance, though, like an invisible line he never crossed. I figured he needed time. As the years passed, things shifted. Tyler became a teenager, and the warmth I'd worked so hard to build started to chill. He barely looked me in the eye anymore. His responses were clipped, and I was lucky to get a thanks when I made him breakfast before school. I tried to talk to Eric about it, but he brushed it off. Teenage boys are like that. He's just figuring himself out, he'd say. But I wasn't convinced. There was something different, something calculated in Tyler's coldness. And then came the day that opened my eyes for good. It was a Friday afternoon. I had come home early from work with a pounding headache. As I stepped into the kitchen, I heard muffled noises coming from the hallway. When I walked toward the noise, I noticed the door to the storage closet was ajar. That closet held my sewing materials, important papers, and some private boxes with mementos from my life before Eric. Nothing of value to a teenager, or so I thought. Curious, I pushed the door open gently. That's when I saw Tyler, standing over one of my personal storage bins, rifling through it. He hadn't heard me come in. He had my journal in his hands, the one I wrote in privately every night. He was flipping through pages with an intensity that stunned me. I froze. He noticed me a second later, and the look on his face wasn't embarrassment. It wasn't even fear. It was defiance. "What are you doing, Tyler?" I asked, my voice low but steady. "Just wanted to see what you write about me," he replied without a flinch. I walked in and took the journal gently from his hands. "You went through my personal things." He shrugged. "You act like you care about me. Just wanted to see if it's real." I felt a lump form in my throat. That simple sentence hit harder than I ever imagined. All the years of trying, the birthday cakes, the PTA meetings, the late-night doctor visits, did he really think it was all an act? I sat down on the edge of the couch and looked at him. "Tyler, why would you think I don't care about you?" He looked at the floor. "Because you're not my mom, and you try too hard. Nobody tries that hard unless they're pretending." His words weren't said to hurt me. They were just raw, honest. That was when I realized this wasn't about me. It was about the walls he had built long before I entered his life. "I don't want to replace your mom," I told him quietly. "But I do want to be in your life in whatever way you'll let me. And I've never faked a single moment of it. I care because I love you." He didn't reply. He just stood there. And then, without a word, he left the room. I sat in silence for nearly an hour after that, unsure of what had just happened. The next few days were tense. He avoided me altogether. Eric didn't know about the journal. I didn't tell him. I didn't want this to turn into a fight. I needed to reach Tyler myself. I decided to give him something unexpected. More space? Maybe. But also more truth. I started leaving my journal out in the open. I even wrote a letter to him in one of the entries, not a lecture, just my story. How I never had kids of my own. How scared I was the first time I met him. How much I wanted to be enough. A week later, I found a small folded paper under my pillow. It was from Tyler. Just 2 lines. "I read your journal. You're not faking it. I believe you now." That note felt like a sunrise after years of storm clouds. But the real change came slowly, over the months that followed. He began sitting with me while I cooked. He asked for help with homework. On Christmas Eve, he gave me a framed photo of the two of us from his middle school graduation. It had a note on the back that said, Thanks for not giving up. It wasn't perfect. We still had arguments. He still rolled his eyes sometimes. But we became real. Real family. A year later, he asked if I could attend his college campus tour, not his dad, me. He said he wanted my opinion on the dorms. That moment made everything worth it. Looking back, I realized Tyler wasn't testing my patience just to hurt me. He was trying to understand if I was for real, if I was going to stick around, if I was strong enough to handle his worst. So, I gave him more than just patience. I gave him honesty. And eventually he gave me trust.
Our story is messy.
But it's true. And in that truth, we found something rare. Love born not from blood, but from persistence. And to anyone out there who's trying to connect with a child that isn't biologically theirs, don't give up when they test you. Sometimes, it's the test that proves you're worth trusting.